Imagine sitting down with a group of friends and suddenly discovering that all of you remember something completely different from what actually exists. It's not just one person misremembering, it's thousands, even millions, of people recalling the same false reality. This isn't just about a faulty memory. This is about questioning the nature of reality itself. Nelson Mandela's death, the origin of the Mandela Effect. The very name Mandela Effect comes from a chilling realization. Thousands of people clearly remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. They recall the news broadcasts, the funeral, the global mourning. But there's one problem: Mandela didn't die in prison. In our reality, he was released, became South Africa's president, and passed away in 2013. So, why do so many people remember his death decades earlier? Could it be a case of mass misremembering? Or is it possible that these people came from a different reality, one where Mandela did die in prison? The Monopoly man's missing monocle, a glitch in reality? Quick question: what does the Monopoly man look like? You probably picture him with his fancy top hat, a suit, and of course, his monocle. The Berenstain Bears mystery: did we shift timelines? Let's start with one of the most famous Mandela Effect cases, the Berenstain Bears. If you grew up reading these books, chances are you remember the name as Berenstain Bears. With an E. It just looks right, doesn't it? But go check any copy today, and you'll find something shocking. It has always been Berenstain Bears, with an A. Not one, not two, but millions of people swear they remember Berenstain. Some have even tried digging up old books, hoping to find evidence of the original name. Only to be met with an uncomfortable truth: the name has never changed. So, what's happening here? Did we all just misread it for years? Or did we shift from a timeline where Berenstain was real into this reality, where it has always been Berenstain? You probably picture him with his fancy top hat, a suit, and of course, his monocle. But here's the shocker: he never had a monocle. Not in a single official image, not in any classic Monopoly box art. Nothing. Yet, millions of people, including you, most likely, remember it clearly. Could this be because we're confusing him with Mr. Peanut, the Planters mascot? Or is it another case of reality rewriting itself? Pikachu's tail, a detail that vanished. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest shocks for Pokemon fans. If I asked you to draw Pikachu, you'd probably add a black tip to his tail, right? That's how most of us remember it. But what if I told you, Pikachu's tail has never had a black tip? Look at any official Pokemon artwork, and you'll find his tail is completely yellow. No black, no markings, nothing. Yet, thousands of people claim they remember it vividly from the Pokemon cartoons and games. Could this be another timeline slip? Or is our brain just playing tricks on us? Luke, I am your father, the Star Wars line that never existed. Let's do a test. If you're a Star Wars fan, complete this line: Luke, I am your dash. You probably said, father, right? That's the line everyone remembers. Except, that's not what Darth Vader actually says. In the original film, the line is, no, I am your father. This might sound like a small difference, but it's a massive example of the Mandela Effect. Movie quotes are powerful, they stick with us for life. So why do millions of people misremember this line the exact same way? Is it because of pop culture constantly misquoting it? Or did we once live in a reality where Vader actually did say, Luke, I am your father? The Mandela Effect may seem like evidence of alternate realities, but what if it's just our brains betraying us? Psychologists have long studied false memories, when people strongly believe in something that never happened. One major cause: the way our brains store and retrieve information. Memory is not like a video recorder. It's more like a puzzle. Each time we recall something, our brain fills in missing pieces. Over time, those fill-ins become facts in our minds. Example: the Monopoly man. Many people associate him with wealth, top hats, and an aristocratic look, so their minds add a monocle. Misremembered details become shared truths. Cultural reinforcement makes errors feel real. The internet amplifies mistakes into widespread beliefs. But here's the real question. If our brains can rewrite the past, how much of what we remember is actually real? The science of perception, how our minds create reality. If the Mandela effect is just memory distortion, why do so many people experience the same false memories? The answer lies in how our brains perceive and interpret reality. The brain doesn't see reality, it constructs it. Your eyes capture information, but it's your brain that creates the world you see. Neuroscientists suggest that our perception of reality is a controlled hallucination. Example: blind spots in vision. Did you know you have a blind spot in each eye? Your brain fills in the missing details so you don't notice. This same process applies to memories, often leading to false perceptions. If enough people believe something, it spreads like mental wildfire. Example: the Berenstain Bears. Many people saw Berenstain written quickly as kids, their brains assumed it followed the common Stein pattern, like Frankenstein, Einstein. When someone first questioned the spelling, the internet amplified the mistake into a collective false memory. Confabulation, the brain's way of filling the gaps. Confabulation is when the brain creates false details to make memories feel complete. Example: Nelson Mandela's death in the 1980s. Some people may have confused him with another anti-apartheid activist. News stories about prison conditions blended into a false reality. Over time, people solidified the memory, even recalling fake news broadcasts. Psychologists argue it's just the brain's flaws at work. If the Mandela effect were just a trick of the mind, we could dismiss it as simple memory distortion. But what if it's something much bigger? What if these inconsistencies in memory are not just errors, but evidence of something we don't yet understand? Throughout history, people have spoken about parallel universes, shifts in reality, and even glitches in time. Science fiction? Maybe. But some theories suggest that our reality is far more flexible than we believe. The quantum connection: does reality shift? In quantum mechanics, particles can exist in multiple states at once until they are observed. This is called superposition. The famous double-slit experiment showed that a particle changes its behavior depending on whether it is being observed. Now, apply this concept to reality itself. Could consciousness play a role in shaping what is real? Could some people be experiencing alternate versions of events because they are unknowingly observing different timelines? Some theorists believe that when major world events happen, they create ripples in reality. These shifts may cause certain people to remember a version of reality that no longer exists. Now, imagine this happening on a mass scale. Could our collective hallucinations be responsible for the Mandela effect? The role of pattern recognition and expectation. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns. But sometimes, we see patterns that aren't there. Example: the Shazam movie that never existed. Thousands remember a 1990s movie starring comedian Sinbad as a genie. It never existed. Most likely, their brains confused it with the 1996 Shaquille O'Neal movie, Kazam. This happens because our expectations shape memory. Our brains take shortcuts to match what seems logical. The internet's role in strengthening false memories. Before the internet, people forgot small memory errors. Now, the internet reinforces mistakes, making them feel real. One person misremembers something. Others relate to it. The collective agreement makes it feel like proof. Think about urban legends. The more they're repeated, the more people swear they're true. So, is reality just an illusion? If our perception can be manipulated by expectation, memory errors, and suggestion, how much of what we believe is actually real? This is where the Mandela effect takes a darker turn. If our brains can rewrite memories, what else in our reality might be an illusion? The multiverse theory: are we slipping between realities? Physicists like Hugh Everett proposed the many worlds interpretation, which suggests that every possible outcome of an event creates a new, separate universe. Imagine this: in one universe, Nelson Mandela died in prison. In another, he became president of South Africa. If, somehow, these universes overlapped, wouldn't it explain why some people remember a completely different past? Even small details, like the spelling of Berenstain Bears or whether Monopoly's mascot had a monocle, could be minor shifts between these realities. Time slips and dimensional overlaps. There are countless stories of people experiencing time slips, instances where they claim to have suddenly found themselves in a past or future moment, only to return to the present. For example, in 1979, two English couples checked into a hotel in France. Everything inside seemed outdated. When they tried to return later, the hotel no longer existed. Some theorists believe that these events happen because of dimensional overlaps, temporary glitches where people unknowingly step into another timeline. Now, apply this idea to the Mandela Effect. What if certain memories are fragments of an alternate version of history that once existed but was overwritten? The simulation hypothesis: is reality being edited? The Mandela Effect also aligns with a controversial idea: we are living in a simulation. Nick Bostrom, a Swedish philosopher, argues that advanced civilizations may have created a hyperrealistic simulation. If this were true, the Mandela Effect could be proof of small errors in the system. Could reality be patched like a video game update? Are certain details being changed in real time? For example, some people claim movie scenes have changed, yet no version exists of what they remember. Others recall past events that seemingly never happened. These could be evidence of a program altering small pieces of history. So, are we shifting realities or just misremembering? The Mandela Effect could be the result of our minds playing tricks on us. Or it could be something far more mysterious. Either way, it raises a question: how much of what we remember can we really trust? The science of false memories, a psychological explanation. Before we jump completely into the world of parallel universes and simulation theories, let's look at what science has to say. Could the Mandela Effect be nothing more than a trick of the mind? Dr. Elizabeth Loftus, a cognitive psychologist, has extensively studied false memories, convincing people that they remember events that never happened. Her research shows that memories are not perfect recordings. They are reconstructed each time we recall them, meaning they can change. The brain fills in gaps. If we don't fully remember something, our brain creates details that seem to fit logically. Social influence matters. If many people claim to remember something a certain way, our brains can adopt those false memories as our own. For example, in a famous study, people were shown an old video of Bugs Bunny. Later, they were asked if they remembered seeing him at Disneyland. Many said yes, even though Bugs Bunny is a Warner Brothers character and has never appeared in Disneyland. This proves that the brain can be tricked into remembering things that never actually happened. Now, let's apply this to the Mandela Effect. If millions of people online keep repeating a false memory, could it be that the brain simply accepts it as reality? Mass memory errors, the power of collective perception. Ever heard of the telephone game? A simple phrase is whispered down a line of people, and by the time it reaches the last person, the message is completely different. This is how misinformation spreads, even unintentionally. On the internet, this effect is amplified. A single person claiming a false memory, like Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father," when he actually said, "No, I am your father," can quickly become a widely believed fact. There's also the confabulation effect. When we try to recall something but can't fully remember the details, our brain fills in the blanks with what feels right. That's why people believe Monopoly's mascot wore a monocle, because rich characters in pop culture, like Mr. Peanut, often have one. So, is the Mandela Effect really proof of reality glitches? Or is it just the way our brains work? The psychological war: what does this mean for our reality? Here's where things get interesting. Even if science explains why our memories fail, it doesn't answer one deeper question. Why do so many people experience the same false memories? Is it all just coincidence? Or is there something more? Some researchers suggest that reality is not as objective as we think. Our perception is constantly shaped by cultural narratives, what we hear from others, the power of suggestion, what we expect to be true, Cognitive bias, how our brains interpret the world. If our perception shapes reality, then reality itself might be more fluid than we realize. Is reality being altered? Who, or what, is behind it? If the Mandela effect isn't just a trick of the mind, then what else could explain it? Some believe that powerful external forces are actively changing reality. The CERN hypothesis, is science tearing through dimensions? One of the most famous theories suggests that scientific experiments at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, might be responsible. CERN is known for conducting high-energy particle collisions using the Large Hadron Collider. Some theorists speculate that these experiments could have opened rifts between dimensions. If reality is multi-layered, CERN's experiments may have caused different timelines to merge. Reset our universe. Imagine a cosmic save point being overwritten, leaving behind echoes of past versions of reality. Created micro-black holes. Some physicists have proposed that tiny black holes could theoretically influence time and space, potentially shifting elements of our past. CERN has publicly denied these claims, saying their work has no effect on reality. But if reality has already been altered, would we even notice? Simulation theory, are we living in a programmed reality? Now, let's go deeper. What if reality itself is artificial? Elon Musk famously stated that the chances of our reality not being a simulation are 1 in billions. His reasoning? If a civilization ever advanced far enough to create hyperrealistic simulations, they would likely create millions of them, meaning the odds of us being in the one true reality are extremely low. If our world is a simulation, the Mandela effect could be explained by software updates altering past data. What if reality is like a video game, and the programmers occasionally tweak details? Memory errors within the system. Have you ever played a game where objects randomly glitch or disappear? Could Mandela effects be code inconsistencies in our simulated world? Non-player characters, NPCs. Some suggest that certain people, who don't seem to notice these shifts, are simply NPCs in the simulation, designed to keep the illusion stable. If this is true, then the real question is, who is running the simulation, and why? Are we prisoners of a designed reality? If reality is controlled, then our experiences, memories, and even choices might not be entirely our own. But who, or what, is responsible? Here are some possibilities. An advanced alien civilization. Just as humans study microscopic life in laboratories, an extraterrestrial race could be running our universe as an experiment. A future version of humanity. What if we are inside a program created by our future descendants, trying to study the past? A hidden ruling elite. Some conspiracy theorists argue that secret societies or governments may have access to reality-altering technology, perhaps remnants of lost civilizations or undisclosed experiments. Breaking the illusion, can we ever truly see the truth? If reality can be manipulated, if memories can be rewritten, and if what we know to be true today can change tomorrow, then how do we even define what is real? Philosophers like Plato and Descartes argued that our senses deceive us, and reality is far more complex than we can perceive. Quantum physics now suggests that particles exist in multiple states until observed, meaning reality may be shaped by consciousness itself. So, is the Mandela effect proof that reality is shifting? Or is it simply proof that we were never meant to know the truth? And if reality is an illusion, what happens when we wake up? Here's the final twist, tying everything together and answering the key questions raised. So, what is the truth? Are we living in parallel realities, or is the Mandela effect simply a glitch in our minds? Psychologists argue that our brains rewrite memories to fit our personal narratives. False memories occur due to the misinformation effect, where repeated exposure to incorrect details reshapes what we believe to be true. Cognitive biases, social influence, and even the brain's way of filling in gaps create a reality that feels real, but is it? But if that's all there is to it, why do millions of people misremember the same things in exactly the same way? Why do these glitches always seem to align with a version of reality that no longer exists? Quantum theorists present another possibility. if reality is made of probabilities and not absolutes, then each possibility, including our memories, could exist in multiple states. The Mandela Effect, in this view, might not be false memory but a memory from an alternate version of our reality. Even for a moment that both explanations are true, our minds shape reality, but reality is also shaped by possibilities beyond our perception. Could it be that our consciousness occasionally tunes into a version of reality we once inhabited? Maybe the real question isn't if the Mandela Effect is proof of parallel realities, but if we are even capable of perceiving the full truth of our own existence.